Three of my favorite words ever with one of my favorite people ever. Jeremy, wow, we did it through technological setbacks, time zones, travel. Here we are, my friend. We
Here
made
we
it
are.
together this morning, and I'm so glad we did. How are you?
You know what? It's all things considered, it could be worse.
Well, you know what? It's starting to turn the corner, and it feels a little better now. Feel like we're in a little bit of a pattern, a rhythm, a flow, and I'm excited to have a chat with you this morning.
So am I. So am I. Because it's look, you've created something pretty cool with this.
Well, thank you, my friend.
And
Thank you.
I here's the thing. It's when I'm excited about something, it's not only that I want to talk all about it, but I want to find out. Honestly, I want to find out what it is that, drove people who were creators to start creating. And so
That's yeah. What is our muse? What is our why? What is the purpose? Well, let's set the stage just a bit for anybody that might want to watch this. We got together because we wanted to share some of the intentionality behind why we're doing this, and set the stage a little bit, give people a reference point and some context. So why don't I'll start by asking you a couple questions. You can ask me any questions along the way, either during or after, however this flows. I'm not worried about the structure. I was just excited to kind of ask some of the questions that I think come up that maybe people don't really know the why behind or the answers. And so this gives you a chance to fill in some blanks, if that makes sense.
well, and
And
you know what? First things first. First things first. I don't want to interrupt the flow,
no,
but
no, no, go ahead.
let's explain the why. What was the why that has both of us kind of excited about this? And I am putting full spotlight onto you
Okay.
and that galloping partner of yours,
Yes.
Jeffrey,
The one and
uh,
only Jeff Solomon.
for having put together uh, roadside attractions with Roderick Brown. And I
Yes.
pronounce the Roderick part because I think the industry hears and sees a lot of Roderick Brown, right? I mean,
Yes.
it's somebody serious when they add the additional syllable of the Roderick. You know what I mean?
I
And
do.
and so it's you guys have created something that has made him Rod. And I think that's
Ooh,
important.
I
I
like that.
think that's vitally important because I think Rod has a lot to say, and you guys have put together a format and a structure with it that I think is brilliant in the way
Well,
that
I can
it was
thank you.
constructed, that it
Thank you.
was done. And I'm thrilled on the Promo Week UP side that we get to be a part of
Yes.
engaging in this. And so that was, sorry, I needed to give some backstory before we moved
Well,
on.
no, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I'll take it. I'll take the compliment. We are really excited about it. Well, why don't I not go too far back, but I'll tell you, like a lot of great things, a lot of great work for me starts as a rant. It starts as a frustration. It starts from, and I'm not wholesale broad brushing our entire promo space or swag or branded merch, whatever you want to call it these days, promotional products industry, the apparel decoration industry, the print industry, all of them suffer from this. And at times it's a reflection of all of us, not any one person. And that's the value of education. And it's really not even education, it's the wisdom that's hiding in plain sight. And so for me, why did the Branded Merch Network want to create Roadside Attractions? It was because I was frustrated with what I saw, and there's this push to go to this young, fresh, original point of view, which is fine and good, and we need it. But there seems to be this kind of lagging respect for someone who's done it, someone who walked the walk, someone who has significant and deep accomplishments. And so I got into a conversation with Jeff. Jeff said, "That's so funny. I was just saying something to Rod, and Rod was going off on a tangent about how these videos suck." He goes, "Who's even watching that?" And that's it. That was the genesis. One thing leads to another. We're on a call with Rod. Rod's talking about what he wishes he could do. I said, Rod, you know what? The truth is I wish we could do like this super cool mini documentary series. I wish we had unlimited funds and we could just kind of, more people need to know you and not just the polished trade show speaker
Roderick.
Roderick, right? Who is awesome and a great trainer, very successful, right? On every measure of the stick. But come on, this is a guy who rides motorcycles and has his whole life. So to me, I got to meet Rocket Rod, which was just this epic badass of a dude who is just like the rest of us, quirky and funny, and at moments insecure, and in other moments very deeply connected to his relationships. He's a guy who owns his mistakes, but comes out the other side a winner. And I was so engaged to have that real conversation with him and to kind of give a little window to some of the things that some of the lessons, if you want to call them that, some of the lessons that he feels were pivotal in terms of learning how to navigate through the promotional products industry in the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s. I mean, he's got 45 or 48 years. I mean, he's a survivor. He's a builder. He is a badass guy. And it's so fun to have that opportunity. So this wasn't about a playbook and this wasn't about a framework and this wasn't about a manual or something we were trying to sell. It was more about, it was the anti-slide deck is what I had in my mind.
Okay.
And so
So is
I
that so is that why it was Rod that you ended up? Because look, it's a really cool look. The roadside attractions. It's a really cool premise. And inside of our market, you know this. I mean, it was
yeah.
like we're still an industry of road warriors. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
it's like it could have been, in theory, it could have been anybody. I
Call. Yeah, once we were on the call, I realized he kept wandering into comparisons and analogies that were motorcycle and road related. Like he didn't know he was doing it, but I had written a few notes down while we were talking about this. And then Jeff tells me about some of his trips, and then Rod shared me some photos and some video, and I was like, "Oh my god!" I was like, "That's it. We have to figure out how to incorporate this the road less traveled and all the cliches we came up with and all of the things." And so Rod was very eager to do that because it fits. That's really the real him. And I said, so what's your garage like? Is it like super highly organized? He goes, oh yeah. Oh yeah, I pride myself in, I've got this toolbox. And he goes into my closet. Here's where I hang my jackets, and I've got my helmets and my gloves. And I was like, dude, that's it. Because to me, that was the supporting character, his garage, his workshop, the tools, right? The tools that we need in sales, the tools that we need for business owners, the tools that we need for entrepreneurship. And I kept coming back to that. He was like first one to say, I love it. We just got to figure out a way to package it up. And so that's how we came up with it. And we
it's
realized that
good
he had,
enough.
yeah,
It's
no. And I give him the majority of the credit. We just had to kind of pick it out, pull it out, and kind of stitch it back together. So that's how we got there.
It's a good metaphor. It's because at the end of the day, look, that's where I stand back and it's like, I think in watching, because you sneak peek me, you sneak
Yeah,
peek, right? And I think inside of that, there's a certain amount of parallelism, and you guys really did kind of capture it as far as the ways to engage on the bike and with the bike and in relationship to the garage. Look, we live in our own little worlds where quite
right,
honestly, it's
right.
every single person's office is their workshop. You go into any distributor location and they've got their workshop lined up. It's from a samples to what's their previous note history, what's their engagement, where do they work, how do they operate, what's their process. It's organized, it's set up, it's structured, it's clean. And Rod is given a retrospective of that while
Yes, yes.
basically still following the exact same principles.
Oh, I love that. Yes, Jeremy, we dove deep on that on a side conversation. I wish we would have recorded it. But it answers the why Rod Brown in a deeper context, meaning he's the perfect person because of the life he's lived. And it's not just that he's studied, the context of it or drill down on Claude or ChatGPT and say, tell me why I should. He's lived it. So he brings this amazing air of credibility and generosity. But at the same time, it's just packed full of these crazy real world experiences. And I noticed that he is a teacher, always a teacher. So I teased him about, I said, it's almost like you switch gears. It's like you all of a sudden flip the switch and now it's Professor Rod talking. And Professor Rod wants to carry this business lesson and tell you and teach you something you can actually use. Now, this was what caught me. He wasn't bragging about anything. He wasn't teaching to show you how smart he was. He was he was trying to connect some dots for you and share that this lesson is as valid today as it was 40 years ago. So
Well,
there was this timelessness of it. Like the principles are bedrock and foundational. And that's where I was like, oh, I'm getting goosebumps right now talking about it.
well,
I'm not
because
kidding
here's
you.
the thing. Here's the thing. If you actually think about it, and it's a cool way to kind of look. It's uh, we live in an AI world, right? Claude, the Chat GPT. Here's the thing, though. It is for anybody who engages with it. It's an incredible resource because it is culling all known information, all known data points, all known publishable, accessible, whatever information that's going to provide us an answer to the question you've got.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
truth of the matter is that Rod Brown has lived the type of life that is informing an AI program when a distributor today is asking about tactics.
I haven't made that link. That's so, yeah.
It's he's one of
Yeah.
the people that have informed the history, especially when it comes to our marketplace. I mean, I'm not saying that ChatGPT bugged his house and tapped all the information. I'm just saying that the history that he has lived inside of the market is what informs intelligence when it comes to trying to figure out how to engage, move forward, and act today. And that's
Yeah.
that's
So cool.
cool. That's
That's
cool.
really cool. Really cool. Well, let me flip the script. First, I want to pay you a big compliment, you and your organization, you and Ian and the rest, because Rod had the idea to bring you guys in. That was Rod. So you can thank Rod. We weren't ready to actually. We thought we would just plop this on the branded merch network and let it run. And Rod said, you know what? This has we're creating something better. We're creating something different. And he was emphasizing that. And so was I. I was like, this is like part documentary, part sales training, part storytelling, and weaving it all together. It deserves a home. It deserves something a little more elevated. I don't love that word, but it deserves something that's meant to have a home. And he thought of you and nobody else. It was like there was a list of people we were going to shop around and see, hey, let's see if anybody's interested in this. He goes, let me talk to Jeremy. I think this might be a great fit for them. So I now see it. I now know. I get it after our conversations and thousands of emails. Promo EQP is the perfect home for this. It's a great place for this to start because the series was never meant to be passive. We wanted each episode to feel like a real conversation. And so, yes, there's this element of professional development to it and a practical takeaway, but it was positioned for a community to talk about it, to wrestle with it, to poke holes a little bit. And Rod is so generous that he said, yeah. He was like, of course, if I were in their shoes and some old geezer came along and said, here's what you need to do, kid, of course I would be pushing back a little bit. But I would also be listening and I'd also be following some clues, following those breadcrumbs, practicing what someone who is successful ahead of me has already done. That's just proven wisdom, right? So you and your organization have agreed to do this. You've helped be our premier partner on this. And what I love so much, Jeremy, is that you wanted to make sure that your community could discuss it. So only Promo EQP is going to get the chance to actually watch the video series and then have login to Rod's time one-on-one. So I hope all of your members, community, all of your friends, everybody connected with Promo EQP recognizes this is a one-off. No other group no other association, at no other place yet, at least we haven't planned anything. Nobody else is getting this special treatment. And so thank you for being involved. Thank you for helping us reach this goal. And I can't wait to see how these conversations build better business for your community. So I wanted to thank you and set you up on that.
No, and it's, you know what, and it wasn't necessarily something that was an entirely pre-planned thought, but it was like because you had mentioned the whole aspect of ChatGPT and Claude and the AI platforms and things like that.
Yeah,
And the thing is that it connected the dots to me that it's like if I'm asking a question inside of an AI resource, I'm culling data, experience, and information that's been gathered by people like Rod Brown. And the dot connected for me, anyways, inside of that moment that it was like, what's really phenomenal about this is that instead of in your own office, in your own moments, it's the ability for collectively,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Collectively, people to get together for a period of time with Rod to be able to engage
Well,
and
and that
ask those
engagement,
questions.
yeah, sorry, didn't mean to talk over you, Jared. That engagement, that you hit it. That's one of my favorite words. It's to not just listen to somebody, it's to be able to engage with them and question with them and say, how does this apply to me? You know, I'm this small to mid-sized distributor, family owned. Here I am in Phoenix, Arizona. I'm somewhere between 700 and a million in sales, have a happy little distributorship, and I'd like it to grow. I'd like it to, it's feeding my family, it's paying for my mortgage, it's paying, all the things. But it's like, how do we apply that principle today in this world? And that's what I hoped Promo EQP would be able to bridge the build, or sorry, rewind, build the bridge to connect those two so that there is application. And I'm so excited for it. But let me flip the script on you for a second. I have a hunch you have a particular what should we say? Not an attitude, but a perspective on AI. And so I want to know a little bit about, like, is it supporting our industry? Is it helping our industry? We need to change. We both know that promotional products industry is constantly evolving. But does the idea of this adaptability worry you? Does AI worry you? Is there something there? Because you sound like there's a little bit of concern.
Oh, no, 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 no. Um, hmm, it's a good question. I actually, on a very, if we're just talking about AI as a resource and a tool, I am immensely positive on what AI as a resource, what it is a tool to a distributor.
Yeah,
I am exceedingly positive on what it's capable of doing. I mean, the truth of the matter is that now a distributor has in access to it resources, the ability to create their own platforms, operational, their own workflows, their own functionalities. It's what AI is to a distributor, I think is a monumental breakthrough that distributors should absolutely be putting their hands onto. It's the idea that stands back and says, here's what I want my company to be versus what my company is today. AI in their hands is a resource that ultimately gives them carte blanche availability and capabilities to develop, create, enhance, engage, and make their business what it is they want their business to desperately be. Right?
that's a great answer.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah, I
great
think that
perspective.
distributor who has been muscling along, engaging in a process they've successfully built out. To me, a $400,000 a year distributor, as long as that distributor is managing their overall profit margins, right? Um, it's probably some location. I mean, you can be a $400,000 a year distributor in Bloomington, Indiana, in name the pocket, name the town,
Yeah, right, for sure. I
right?
get it. Right.
And
Yeah.
you're bringing in a really good revenue piece for you and your family,
Yeah,
right?
100%. Yes.
and you're connected to your community, you're engaged, and all of that is remarkable. That is, there is success that's found in that. That is equal as there is the success for somebody who stands back and says, I want to build the $1 million company. There is,
Correct.
you can be rooted, and the truth of the matter is that right now we're living in an environment and in a world where AI can help strengthen that. My concern isn't so much in AI as the resource. My concern is new pieces of technology that are ultimately being introduced into the marketplace without ultimately knowing what are the intentions of those who developed it. For
Okay.
for a distributor, when they're developing an AI fueled resource that supports them, and they're the ones that are running it, they're thinking about their buyer, they're thinking about what's successful to their business, they're thinking about the strengthened supplier relationships they've got.
Yeah.
They're thinking about what is right for their business. And yet, the reverse to that is that if you're bringing in new technology that is being pushed, presented, sold, you're bringing in other people's intentions, ulterior motives, ideas about how to use that AI. And look, we've seen throughout the history of the industry, we've seen moments where, in times, we've had people and we've had entities, we've had resources that have sought to move beyond the distributor buyer relationship and run in front of that. Um, in the past, we've had an industry that is resilient, that adjusts, that
For sure.
communication, that distributors communicating what's going on, the ability to engage in public discourse. We've been able to stop some of these processes that bypass a distributor to the face of a buyer. My concern with AI is that if we don't ask those questions of resources being sold into the market, if we don't ask what the intentions are, if we don't ask what the ulterior motives are to those resources, AI is such a powerful tool that, quite honestly, we're going to lose the opportunity to ask the questions before we actually can.
I'm grateful for the chance to ask you that, and I love that answer. I think there's a lot of wisdom in that, Jeremy. Just asking the harder question, defining what the
No,
motives are. You're not anti-AI, I can tell,
no.
and neither am I. But be weary, be smart. Remember who's in charge of your business. You are. And
Yes.
so, the other people are selling a product. They're selling you on something. And what are their motives? And it's not that you're um not a distrustful person. You're just wisely asking, let's make sure this is a fit as these new tools race into the marketplace
Well, it's
before.
yeah, and race is the ideal word there
Yeah,
because it's new and it's exciting, and we are an industry that has that's modern access to resources. We've not always been the ones leading the charge
yeah,
in what's going on inside of the marketplace. And all of a sudden there's this rush of new resources and everything that's
right.
coming into it. And my argument isn't to walk away from that with distrust. My argument is let's have the hard conversations, because if we don't, AI as a overall model is going to evolve fast enough to where you're not going to have the time. If you don't ask them now, we may not have the time later.
Yeah,
And
that's smart. That's wise. I love that. Oh, well, listen, there's, something's been bugging me. I've always wanted to ask you this. I don't think I ever have. So forgive me, but I'm going to put you on the spot because it's like when I first met you and my first impression of what is promo EQP, I jumped to this conclusion that it was pretty much a buying group, for lack of a better expression, a pricing program. Maybe you would frame it, I'm sure, differently, but those are just the words that kind of pop into my mind. But as I've gotten to know you through the roadside attractions and through emails and conversations, you don't describe it that way. Like you have this one of the things I love about you is you have this let's solve a problem mentality. So in that context, what problem are you really trying to solve with promo EQP?
um, our industry is in its best. It's most creative, it's most engaged, it's most profitable, it's at its best in its relationship models. When our industry is rooted on being a meritocracy, when what you've done earns you the opportunities for you to move forward, right? If you want to know why am I so excited about the whole Rod Brown thing, why do I see a Rod Brown parallel? For what Rod historically did in building himself and building his business to what's available today, it's rooted in the idea of a meritocracy. Rod Brown earned who he is in this market every step along the
100%.
way.
100%
And
agree.
in our industry, we are at our best when you earn the respect, right? What we ended up seeing with the creation of Promo EQP was that there was a window of time where you saw an awful lot of large nationalized entities, individual standalone distributors themselves, that were leveraging and abusing their access to price benefits to try and dislodge a traditional independent distributor, that $400,000 a year guy in a Bloomington, Indiana. They were trying to dislodge them from their client on the basis of just peddling and commoditizing the nature of our products.
Right.
Um,
Like they were hyper focused on reducing price and
Yeah,
gaining
we were
leverage.
moving widgets. And when we decided to start moving widgets, we started playing the pricing game. And
Right.
people and it ended up moving it to a point. And listen, it was I was tracking what were ASI state of the industry average profit margins, what was happening to them, what was happening in PPAI. Now we're going back to 2013, 2000, 2012, inside of that window. And at that time, you started seeing profit margins, the average profit margin to the industry dropping from a 37.5% down to a 31. And when that ends up happening, then all of a sudden this is becoming more about price. And the price game was being won by those who were getting better access to pricing benefits from the suppliers they were working with. And to me, that fundamentally challenged what is best about our industry. When our industry operates from a foundation of access and capabilities, right? If a traditional distributor has the ability to buy cost at a competitive price point to a larger distributor, and then at the end of the day, the reason a buyer chooses to work with one over the other is what that specific distributor has built as a relationship, connection, and ability and willingness to do to support their buyers. It's the connection the distributor has with their buyers. It is the single most important thing that exists inside of our market. And the idea about promo EQP, and I appreciate you saying that we're not a buying group because we were never structured that way. We weren't leveraging sales volumes to gain access to benefits. If anything else, we were actually tearing apart the idea of what are the things that end up creating that leverage point, the flexibility, the variability in pricing and relationships. So
Mhm.
we minimized, restricted, and eliminated the idea of promo EQP profiting off of a distributor's work and profiting off of the way that distributor engages with their suppliers. We entirely eliminated that. That also, by not taking money out of a supplier's pocket, solidified the nature of our relationship to the suppliers. So that way, unlike a traditional buying group, we didn't have suppliers falling off the program, coming back on, increasing price, lowering price. We never dealt with any of that because at the end of the day, what the distributor needed was stability, security, and knowledge on what it was that they had so that they could engage with their buyers. And those that worked hardest, those that were most committed to meeting that buyer's needs, Those that were willing to take those steps to build out a relationship, become more consultative, more guided in their recommendations, less about peddling and selling a product and commoditization, they
Mhm.
were going to be more successful. And it's proven itself out time and time again that when a distributor has access to equal cost, it becomes about what makes that distributor remarkable. And I will champion that all day long because that to me is what's remarkable about our industry.
I love that. That's a great
And that's,
answer.
but that's the same thing that Rod brings to the table. Really, to that extent, Rod is just a pure validation that what makes our industry remarkable can also make it successful.
Oh, for sure. Listen, you've only got the sneak peek on the first episode, my friend. We've got a total of five, and I was there for all five. And I love that I had. I would give a little shout out to our cinematographer, our photographer, our videographer, Quinn Bowie. Quinn was in the room, and Quinn was helping us set up lighting and all this. And Quinn's listening as we're doing this all day. And during one of the breaks, he comes up and he goes, "Dude, I am jacked up. I mean, I want to like I think I should go start selling again. I think I want to be a distributor again." And I was just like, "Okay, this is amazing because you hit on it. It's the validation of the things that he did, and I can promise you
Yeah.
this, it was always rooted in the relationship with his buyer. He was he was not reading out of some behavioral psychology book. He was not reading out of some, current Tony Robbins shtick. He was living in the real of what's best for my buyer and how do I create a deeper, real experience for them. And so that
And
came
I
out
think the other
over and over in all of the episodes. It's a common thread through all of them.
there's the one remark that he ends up having in there. And I've seen it, and you actually ended up putting it as a badge piece, which I thought was really smart as well. Because it's the single most confusing aspect that I think most people standing back are going to look at. And if you get it, you get it. That's the how do I thank somebody for losing the order? I've lost the order. How do I keep the client?
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
That
Yes.
notion there. And it's because I think everybody's run into that. And at the end of the day, we understand in the market because that's also part of the reason why you have to choose your suppliers, right? Who's the partner that you're engaging with? And the ability to connect with them to support in those squeeze or those bad moments. We are a
Right.
perfectly imperfect human industry. So for as many mistakes as we're going to make, we're going to pull off miracles at the same time. But when it goes bad, how do you maintain strength in the connection? And I love that section because that is
Yeah,
very
I did.
real. That is
It is real.
very, very real. And distributors who understand are going to understand and connect with that.
I agree 100%. It's a great kickoff for us to start. You lost the order. Now what?
Yeah.
Are you just gonna tuck tail and go back and complain to your coworkers or complain to your spouse about, you know, the injustice of humanity because you lost you lost an order? And I don't want to go too far into the weeds or give away the punchlines here, but one of the things I got a chance to ask Rod about was in the context of price. And he said, yes, you're going to lose orders because someone else had a similar idea that was less expensive. He said, but you shouldn't focus on the expense or the cost of it. You should be focusing on the creative of it. You didn't add enough value to make it worth that price. And so they chose a path that had less resistance, that was more affordable, and almost always is less creative. And I
Yeah.
was like, wow, dude, write that down. I'm so glad we have this. We're recording this, kind of like one of those moments that I won't forget. Listen, we're going a little long. I want to wrap up,
Okay.
ask you one more question. Thank you for your time, by the way. Thank you for letting me kind of pepper you with a few of these questions, and so excited for this series to come out. I literally can't wait. So pay attention, everybody. This is coming soon. And first of all, I'm excited to say that Promo EQP is going to have access to all of this first. So go to Promo EQP, go to the digital websites, go whatever you and Ian are cooking up. Listen to those newsletters, save those dates, plan accordingly. I just want to say that. Okay. Um, but the question I had wrapped up was okay, we're at this point.
Mhm.
We're concerned about growth. We're concerned about our businesses. We're always making sure that we can stay relevant, that we can, you know, be in the marketplace, be growing. What do you think is going to happen? Give us the crystal ball moment, Jeremy. If we're having this conversation 10 years from now, what's changed? What's changed about our industry? If we go forward, or maybe you hope nothing changes. I don't know. What's on your plate there? We have the same conversation. I'm asking you these same questions. What do you hope has changed 10 years from now?
Here's the thing. We're in a specific moment where there is no, if you hope things don't change, this ain't the moment in time for you.
Yeah, right.
Everything is about to change. Everything. Right? I mean, the introduction of AI puts honestly the capabilities, the opportunities, the availability for people to engage as is necessary for them. It's also created opportunities for others to come in and sell people into utilizing resources that are infused with an ulterior intention that isn't always to the benefit of the person they're selling it to. So there isn't a possibility of things staying stagnant. That's not going to happen. Um, so we're left inside of a situation where it's like change is going to happen. What's the ideal I look at as being, even with all of the change, what are we able to keep true? And the main thing to me is that to me, the cornerstone of what it is we need to be actively seeking to achieve in this market is the ability for all of this new resource, all of this new technology to be a tool and a resource that works with a distributor to strengthen the connection to their buyer. The minute technology replaces the face of a distributor as the point person to a buyer themselves is the minute you start to really question what is the future of our industry. If a
Mm-hmm.
distributor is just a facilitator, excuse me, if a distributor is just the facilitator of order processing, then quite honestly, they're easy to be replaced because AI is all about the processes, right? What
Yeah, totally
makes
agree.
the distributor remarkable is exactly what you were talking about there with Rod. It's the connection. It's adding the value. It's being present. It's the human touch. It's the ability for our industry. Our industry has never engaged in closing deals on golf courses because the vast majority of our buyers run into their, or the vast majority of our distributors run into their buyers in the frozen food section of grocery stores on weekends. That's incredible. That's remarkable. That's special. That's got to stay the root of who we are. And if we can use technology to be a new resource to further strengthen what makes us remarkable, we have a bright future. We have a future to look forward to. If we allow technology to become the face of the market and push the distributor back, um, it's I question what we become. We become, a limited number of products and a limited number of options, and we become limited in what it is we're actually able to do, and that's horrible because in a future marketplace, in the current marketplace, the ability to tangibly represent a company and identity on a physical product in a digital world, um, we're the one industry that's able to actually make the story physical, and
Yes.
we got to
Love that.
protect.
Yeah, I love it. Great answer. Thank you for
Sorry,
sharing.
I rambled and almost died
No,
on
no, no. It was
them.
great. It
I
was great.
apologize.
It was deep. It was authentic. It was the real you. Jeremy Chacon, we appreciate you. Love hanging out with you, having these moments. Thank you for your time today. That's all I've got. I just wanted to say again,
Listen, I'm making it. Thank you, and I appreciate all of the warmth, love, everything along those lines. What you are doing over there with branded merch, Jay, is remarkable. I love it. I love
thank you.
you. You're pushing a discussion. You're pushing the conversation. You're pushing the community to be more engaged instead of a passive recipient of what others make decisions to inflict upon us. You're creating a community engaged in holding conversations. And
Thank you.
honestly, man, what you guys are doing, it's, I adore, I support, it's whatever it is that we can ever end up doing to partner and support you guys. Just know
Well, let's
we
keep
are
going. Plenty more
partnering.
to do.
Good.
All right. Well, we'll talk soon. Thank you.
All right.
Take care.